What up? What up with it, bro? What's up with the Los?
I'll make that call. The one condition. I want to use your bathroom on the way to work in the morning. What? Sit on my toilet? Yeah, that's not fucking way. What? Nobody's
Just trying to set this thing up real quick. Hold on.
All right, you can hear me?
Y'all can hear you, bro. What up with it, Reese? Yeah, I was trying to set the title up for the room for the people to see, people to see out there on YouTube, but I'll change it later, I guess. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive on in. You know what I'm saying? This the Book of Al Jahid show for the audience. Today I'm gonna be discussing matter of fact, I'm gonna say who I got in the room. I got my boy Maurice in the room, Team Osiris, and I got my boy Carlos Mustafa in the room, Team Osiris. You know what I'm saying? We want all one big family. This I ain't been doing this in a minute, but I'm back, you know what I'm saying? Finna get this back cracking. Today I want to discuss the origins of the term Moor and where they come from, and dismantle all the confusion. And I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding of the term Moor, due to different different people, or different people from academia holding on to an old to an old style of literature, that the term Moor means black, and it actually doesn't mean it did mean black, throughout history, like through recent history, especially the colonial period. But the origins of the term does not mean black at all. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I'm gonna explain it, and I'm gonna show you when it became the meaning of black. You know what I'm saying? Not even just for us a race, or trying to identify people or race or a certain group of people. I'm gonna explain it. I'm gonna explain it through the course, through this presentation. Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we in here.
Oh yeah, for for the audience, don't ring the notification, ring the bell. So we could do more shows like this whenever I come on here, y'all know when I go live and we doing having discussions like this. I'm going ahead and start. Hold on. Let me get my notes together. I'm gonna share my screen in a minute. Take me off mute. Hold on real quick. Hold on just a minute. All right, y'all can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, let me go in. Let me start off with the first page of Wikipedia. We're gonna start off with Wikipedia and we're gonna go into other sources too. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into what the term is. We'll see what Wikipedia say. And first of all, I say the term Moor is an exonym. So, it wasn't no people, to ever calling themselves Moors or, saying they we the Moors or, saying it was or some type of tribe called Moors that most people seem to misunderstand. Well, here it says the term Moor is an exonym first used by Christian Europeans to designate the Muslim inhabitants of the Maghreb, the Iberian Peninsula, Sicily, Malta during the Middle Ages. Moors initially were the indigenous Maghrebian Berbers, or let's say Berber, or you could say Amazigh. The name was also applied to Arabs and Arabized Iberians. Okay, I'm gonna go a little down a little bit. I'm gonna try to get into see what else to say. Say Moors are not a distinct or self-defined people. The 1911 Encyclopedia of Britannica observed that the term had no real ethnological value. Europeans of the Middle Ages and early modern period variously applied the name to Arabs, North African, Berbers, as well as Muslim Europeans. See, what I'm saying? And all these people wouldn't be considered, dark skin or African or whatever. It was a mixture of different people under the umbrella of Islam. And right here, go on and say the term has also been used in Europe in a broader, somewhat derogatory sense to refer to Muslims in general, especially those of Arab or Berber descent, whether living in Spain or North Africa. During the colonial era, the Portuguese introduced the name Ceylon Moors or Indian Moors in South Asia and Sri Lanka, and Bengali Muslims were also called Moors. In Philippines, the long-standing Muslim community, which predates the arrival of Spanish, now self-identify as Moro people, an exonym introduced by the Spanish colonizers due to their Muslim faith. In 711, troops mostly formed by Moors from northern Africa, led by the Umayyad conquest of Hispania. So you got to be more specific when people say, "Oh, the Moors conquered Spain." It wasn't just the Moors. You can't just say Moors. These were the Umayyads. Moors is a derogatory term, but we're gonna get into what this term means. The Iberian Peninsula then came to be known as Classical Arabic or Al-Andalus, which at At its peak included most of Septimania in modern-day Spain and Portugal. In 827, the Moors occupied Mazoria on Sicily, developing it as a port. Eventually went on to consolidate the rest of the island. Difference in religion, and I ain't gonna get into all that. That's a whole different story. I'm finna get on to the etymology part. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna bore y'all with that much of the history of, but we can get into that on a whole nother note. But let's get into the etymology of the word. During the classical period, Romans interacted with the later conquered parts of Mauritania, a state that covered modern northern Morocco, West Algeria, Spanish cities, which is Ceuta and Melilla. The Berber tribes of the region were noted in classics as Maori, which was significantly rendered as Moors in English and in the related variation in other European languages. Maori is recorded as the native name by Strabo in the early 1st century. We're gonna get into, remember that name, so we're gonna get into Strabo too, and who the Maori are. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna break down the Maori too, because even that in itself is a generalized term, you know what I'm saying, like sort of an exonym term. It's a native name too, but we're gonna get into that. I'm explaining. But this appellation was also adopted into Latin, whereas the Greek name the tribe was Marusi. Ancient Greek, right here in the Greek letters, which is also Marusi. The Moors were also mentioned by Tacitus as having revolted against Roman Empire in the 24th AD. And I'm getting a little bit down. And right here, you go into the modern meaning. You know what I'm saying? Like during the medieval age, this is when you get into the medieval ages, when you really get into, you know what I'm saying, the word meaning black. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna put more, you know what I'm saying, emphasis on what they mean by black too, a little later on. In the medieval Romance languages, variations of the Latin word for the Moors, for instance, Italian and Spanish, Moro, French, Moro in Spanish, Moro, French, More, Portuguese, Moro, and Romanian, Mar, develop different applications and connotations. The term initially denoted a Pacific Berber people in Western Libya. Remember, you said Western Libya. And remember, during this time, most of all, even though we got the country Libya today, but most of the Europeans call most of North Africa, they call all of that Libya, period. You know what I'm saying? Not just the country Libya that we know today. But the name acquired more generally meaning during the medieval period associated with Muslim, similar to association with the Syrenes. Remember that word, you know what I'm saying? Keep in mind that word Syrene. I'm gonna get into that term later too. During the context of the Crusades, the Conquista, the Reconquista, the term Moors included the derogatory suggestion of infidels. Y'all still there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Y'all got any questions so far?
Nah, I'm waiting on that Serene because I know that from the Atlantic, from Senegal and all that area. Senegambia, my bad.
Oh, the Syrenes?
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't get it.
I'm just keeping that in mind because when you mentioned it.
Okay, I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into that too. Okay, so you know what I'm saying, they kind of did a brief you know what I'm saying, etymology of the term Moor, but they even go deeper than that. This wasn't even like the tip of the iceberg of what the term actually even means. I'm gonna go into the Maori people real quick. And it said the Maori people, from which derives from the English term Moors, was the Latin designation for the Berber population of Mauritania. It was located in part of Africa west of Numidia, an area coexisted with the present-day northern Morocco and northwest Algeria. But that's because Mauritania with an E. This area once was the area where was Morocco is today. In the country Mauritania today is a little bit south. You know what I'm saying? They even spell it different with it. They spell it Mauri instead of RE. Okay, the name Mauritania, Maury by Strabo again, who wrote in early first century as the native name, which also adopted into Latin, while he cites the Greek name for the same people as Morusi. The name Maori as a tribal confederation or generic ethnic designator thus seems to roughly correspond to the people known as Numidians in early ethnography. So they confused them with them because they all Berbers or whatever. Both terms resumingly group early Berber-speaking populations. The earliest Tiffany, which is the Berber language. No, that's the Berber script. Tiffany epigraph dates to about the 3rd century BC. Okay, that was a little brief right there about the Maori name. And let me see Strabo. And Strabo, see, he was Greek himself. He was a Greek, but during the time of Strabo, it was Greeks and Romans, in North Africa during that time. Even before Alexander the Great or Alexander the Macedonian came into North Africa, you had Greeks there, and there was a Greek colony right next to Libya called Cyrene. Okay, and most people will tell you that the word Moor means black, right? Like you got people say, "Oh, Moor means scorched or black," and all that. But let's go into black. Okay, let me dig up. Let me see. Okay, let's go into the term. Let's go into the color black real quick. Let me go black people. Let me go a little bit down to. Okay, where's Spain? Spain, Europe. Go to Western Europe. In a definition of black people. Okay, here we go, Moors. The term Moors has been used in Europe as a broader, somewhat derogatory sense to refer to Muslims, especially those of Arab or Berber ancestry, whether living in North Africa or Iberia. Moors were not a distinct or self-identified people. Medieval and early modern Europeans applied the name to Muslim Arabs, Berbers, Sub-Saharan Africans, and Europeans alike. Now here we go. Isadore Seville. Isadore Seville, writing in the 7th century, claimed that the Latin word Moris was derived from the Greek moron, which is the Greek word for black. Which is actually not, but we're gonna get into that. It became black, but it actually not. We're gonna get into that too. Indeed, by the time Isadore Seville came to write his etymologies, the word Moris was more, had become an adjective in Latin, for the Greeks called black moron. In Isadore Day, Moors were black by definition. And who was this by? According to Jonathan Kennett, Staying Roman Conquest and Identity in Africa, Mediterranean, Cambridge. It's 2012. And I don't agree with his thesis coming from Isadore Seville, because that's not a solid source. And I'm gonna tell y'all why. First of all, let me show the people who is Isadore Seville in his book of etymologies. Why is he why Isadore Seville is so important? Okay, Isadore Seville was the Spanish scholar and cleric for over 3 decades. He was Archbishop of Seville. He widely regarded, in the words of 19th century historian Montalembert, as the last scholar of the ancient world. At a time of disintegration in classical culture, aristocratic violence, and widespread illiteracy, Isidore involved in the conversion of Visigoth kings to Catholicism, both assisting his brother Lindor of Seville and continuing after his brother's death. He was influential in the inner circle of Sigismund, Visigoth king of Hispania. Like Leander, he played a prominent role in the Council of Toledo and Seville. His fame after his death was based on his etymology, an etymological encyclopedia that assembled extracts of many books for classical antiquity that would have otherwise been lost. He also invented the period, the dot of each line sentences, the comma, and the colon. Okay, now let's get into his education though. Remember they said that he said that Greek, said the Greek term for black is Moor. But listen, watch this though. Isidore received his I'm gonna go down to where it says where he received education. Isidore received his elementary education in the Cathedral School of Seville. In this institute, the first of his kind in Spania, a body of learned men, including Archbishop Leander of Seville, taught, which is his brother, and Trivium, and taught the Trivium and Quadrium, the classical liberal arts. Isidore applied himself to study diligently enough that he quickly mastered classical Latin, so he knows Latin, and acquired some Greek and some Hebrew. Remember, they say he knew Greek. He didn't even know that much Greek. Let me get down to his book. That the famous, the famous book. This book was one of the most famous books in the medieval ages. And then too, hold on, go up here. Look at the year that he died. He died in 636. So Moor definitely wouldn't have been black in his age. Islam, even Islam itself, wasn't even in the Maghreb until around 640, 47, somewhere around there, when they conquered the Maghreb, which is Northwest Africa. Okay, Isidore. Oh, y'all still with me there?
Yeah.
What y'all think so far?
So far, so good.
Okay, bet. I'm gonna keep going in on this dude. Isidore, why he said why his work, because this dude is mainly the main source that why most scholars and most etymology, so that you will see thinks that the word Moor means black, which actually is a misinterpretation of his work in itself, because most of his work wasn't even like most of his work wasn't even published or put out until after his death. And plus, a lot of his work, I'm gonna get into it. See, watch this. Isidore was the first Christian writer to try to compile a summa, which is where we get the word summary, of universal knowledge in his most important book, the Etymology, taking its title from the method and uncritical used in transcriptions of his era's knowledge. It's also known by classicists as the Origines, the standard abbreviation of Origin. This encyclopedia, the first such Christian epitome, formed a huge compilation of 448 chapters in 20 volumes. In it, Isidore entered his own terse digest of Roman handbooks, miscellanies, and compendia. He continued to trend towards abridgments and summaries that had characterized Rome learning in late antiquity. Okay, in the process, many fragments. In the process, many fragments of classical learning are preserved that otherwise would have been hopelessly lost. In fact, in the majority of his works, including the Origines, he contributes little more than the mortar of which context excerpts from other authors, as if he was aware of his deficiencies and had more confidence in the Stilius Morium than his own. His translator, Catherine Neal McFlaren, remarks, okay, some of these fragments were lost in the first place because Isidore's work was so highly regarded. Brilio called it whatever the hell this damn Latin word is, which means practically everything at its necessary to know. That is succeeded and used by many individual works of the classics themselves, which were not recopied and have therefore been lost. All particular knowledge that was of use to Christian scholars had been when doled out and contained in one handy volume. Scholar need search no further. The fame of his work imported a new impetus to encyclopedic writing, which bore the abundant fruit in subsequent centuries of Middle Ages. It was the most popular compendium in the medieval libraries. It was printed in at least 10 editions between 1470 and 1530, all throughout the medieval ages or whatever. Showing Isidore's continued popularity in the Renaissance. Until the 12th century brought translations from Arabic sources, Isidore transmitted what Western Europeans remembered of works of Aristotle and other Greeks, although he understood only a limited amount of Greek. The etymology was much copied, and particularly into medieval bestiaries, which was, bestiaries or books or different books that they wrote about animals and stuff like that. But y'all see where I'm getting at?
Yeah, it seemed like he didn't know as much as they attributed to him as far as the Greek and stuff like that.
he didn't know as much Greek, you know what I'm saying, as they say, you know what I'm saying. If he up here saying that Maury is the word Greek, you know, Greek for black, how but let's get into a little bit more about the etymology book. The etymology page real quick of the actual book. And then I'm gonna show y'all actually have the quote from the actual book, you know what I'm saying? It's one of the most updated versions, but there's been so many versions of his book, you know what I'm saying? It's been plagiarized, rewritten, revised, even said that right here on the wiki page. You know what I'm saying? All throughout the medieval ages, people been having their hands on this book, you know what I'm saying, even though it's been fragmented, which means a lot of people, even, you know what I'm saying, when they going through this etymology book, they putting their own little spins of what words mean and certain things mean at their own time. You know what I'm saying? You know, so like the term Moor, you know what I'm saying, meant black in the medieval age. Not black as an ethnic group, but black. You know what I'm saying? Not black as like a people, but black. But I'm gonna explain what the type of black that they meant. Hold on real quick. I'm gonna share my screen real quick again. Okay. And this presentation is kind of a you know what I'm saying, it's kind of rebuttal for the brother Sabir Bey. He was kind of condescending. He was talking about my comment I made on Killer Pre-Show about the term Moor, but we're gonna discuss all this. And I was at a funeral, by the way. That's when my voice is kind of shaky. You know what I'm saying? The brother Ngozi hit me up and was like, jump on the show real quick. I didn't call into the show, you know, like what he think. And I'm not a Moor too, because Sabir Bey think I'm a Moor teaching about Moors and this and that. I'm just a researcher, brother. Okay, let's get into the book of etymology. Okay, the book of etymology, also known as the Origines, and usual and abbreviated Org is an etymological encyclopedia compiled by Isadore Seville, 560 to 636, 636 AD, towards the end of his life. Isidore was encouraged to write the book by his friend Braulio, Bishop of Saragossa. The etymology summarized and organized a wealth of knowledge from hundreds of classical sources. Three of his books are derived largely from Pliny the Elder's natural history. And Pliny the Elder is also, sometimes they call him Plinius, but we don't get into him too, because he gives a clue. He have a quote that he also gives a clue on the actual term Moor and who the actual people were in the area, or the term Marusi, as the Greeks would say, and who the people actually were in there. Pliny actually named the tribes. We're gonna show that too. Isidore acknowledges Pliny, but not his other principal sources. Of course, he doesn't, because if he did, he would have had the real sources of who the Moors or who the Maury people were. Because Pliny, in his work, he discusses that, namely Cassiodorus, Severus, and Salinius. The work contains whatever Isidore and influential Christian bishops thought worth keeping. Its subject matter is extremely diverse, ranging from grammar and rhetoric to the earth and cosmos, building metals, warships, humans, animals, medicine, law, religions, and the hierarchies of angels and saints. I read a lot of the book. The book is like crazy. Like a lot of shit don't even make sense if you actually read it. Like, what the hell is this dude talking about? He crazy. He mixing all. He got all type of, you know what I'm saying, pseudoisms in them. Okay, let's get into. I'm gonna get to the manuscripts and printed editions. See, this word, you know, this word, you know what I'm saying, it was all the shit get lost in the sauce set. People putting in, you know what I'm saying, extra shit saying more mean black, because that's probably what it meant in their time period. Almost 1,000 manuscript copies of etymology have survived. The earliest is held at the St. Gall Abbey Library, Switzerland, in Codex Sangellinus. It is a 9th century copy of books 11 to 20. The 13th century Codex Gigas, the largest extant medieval manuscript now held in the National Library of Sweden, contains a copy of etymologies. In 1472, you know what I'm saying, which is in the medieval period, at Augsburg, etymology became one of the first books to be printed, quickly following by 10 more editions by 1500. Juan de Grael produced the first scholarly edition in Madrid in 1599. Facinio Orvello included it as two of 17 volumes of his opera Opera in Rome, 1797 to 1803. Randolph Beer produced a facsimile edition of the Toledo manuscript of the etymologies in 1909. Wallace Lindsay edited the first modern critical edition in 1911. Y'all see how many versions this book got?
Yeah, that's wild.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people putting in, you know what I'm saying? Of course, they putting in their translations and they inputs. This shit going across different language barriers. You know what I'm saying? So people putting in whatever they, you know what I'm saying? But hold on, though. Let me get into the actual quote. Let me get into the actual quote of what he's saying. Okay. Let me see. The Book of Etymologies. There we go. Find it real quick, y'all. Oh, here we go. It's right here. The Etymologies of Isadore Seville, Cambridge University. W.H. Lewis and J.A. Beach Oliver Barag edition. Or these the people that that revamped this one. And right here, if you look, it's the right area. Yeah, it's right here. Can y'all see that?
Yeah, I can see it. Where you at with it? Wow, where it said Moor's. Moor.
Yeah, right here. Look, hold on. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at the beginning. This where the actual paragraph starts. Right here, where it say range in terms for military matters. You see that right there?
Yeah.
See, watch this. His story, his history, the history all mixed up. These people reinterpreting it, I guess translating it and putting in, I guess, what they thought what he was saying and all that. And it say a reign, which is regnum, which is probably Latin, is so named from a king. For as kings are so called from governing So reigns are called after the words for kings. Every nation has had its own reign in its own times, like the Assyrians, the Medes, and the Persian. And y'all know the Medes or people that they ruled the Iranian areas at one point in time. They basically the same thing as Persians. And they're gonna say the Persians like as if they different. The Egyptians and the Greeks, and fate as so composed of various nations, sought homes for themselves in various places. And from this, Medes and Persians and Armenians, having sailed across to Africa by ship, occupied in the region nearest the sea. But the Persians, not finding wood and fields for building houses, and the communication inhibited by the unknown knowledge, wandered through open fields and diverse deserts. In accordance with their inherent for aging, they called themselves. And remember too, this dude, he used a lot of other people's works too. So he ain't never actually witnessed none of this shit. You know what I'm saying? He going off of other people's work that he revamped what they thought what these Christians thought would be good to put in here. And also mind people retranslating and re-editing it over and over again through different times. And right here say, in the accordance with their iterant for aging, they called themselves in their own language Numidians, which is not true. Numidians mean nomad, and that word is Latin as hell. That is wandering and arid and without a city. On the other hand, the Medes mingled with those Libyans who live closest to Spain. Little by little, the Libyans altered the name of these people in their barbarous tongue, calling Medes Moors, although the Moors are named by the Greeks for their color, for Greeks called black dark, and indeed blast by blistering heat. They have a quintessence of dark color. That shit don't even sound right. You know what I'm saying? But let me get into some real quick. Let me show y'all what actually in ancient Greek with the word black men. This is right here is black in ancient Greek, melis. Not more, not Marusi, but melis. Right here, melis, where we get dark in color. Sometimes so dark as lack of color. You see the colors, what I'm saying? You got English, Mela, Milanos up here at top, Greek, the English, Mela, Milano, Melina, Melan. Look at and they actually got what the Greek colors and how they had constant. They have more, they have like if a color had different shades, they have different words for each shade. And sometimes in Greek, the darkest shade will also be melas too. Let me see right here where actually black is melas. It's not more, but that's in this ancient Greek. In modern Greek, it is, it is Moro, and then and it became that in medieval Greek. Ancient Greek is the Koine Greek, what they call biblical Greek. It didn't mean that during that time. So even during the time of Seville, it wouldn't have meant that. Let me go into actual. Let me see. Go into the color black. Go black. There we go. Black the color. You get an etymology, your understanding. Okay, the word black, the word black itself, comes from the Old English or whatever. We all know about that. We're gonna talk about it another day, but let's get down to the Greek and Latin. A lot of people say Moor means Moorus is Latin for scorched and blazing and all that. But we're gonna get into these definitions and what all that shit even came from in the first place. Where I heard it say, but more distant cognitives include Latin, flagrere, to blaze, to glow, to burn. In ancient Greek, phlegene, to burn, scorch. In ancient Greek, sometimes used the same word to name different colors. If they had the same intensity. Kuanos would mean both dark blue and black. The ancient Romans had two words for black: a tear as a flat dove black, while niger was a brilliant saturated black. A tear has vanished from the vocabulary, but niger was the source of the country name Nigeria, the English word Negro, the word for black in the most modern Romance language, and also that's where nigga come from. And let me go into. So we got that out. So we got to understand that even in Greek, Moro didn't mean black, but you got different Greeks. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. You got different. I'm going to my categories. Okay, let me go on home. I'm just gonna type in Greek real quick. Okay. Greek language. This is real quick. Let me show y'all the different stages of Greek. You know what I'm saying? During these times, Greek was not moral. Well, now, none of that. It probably became that term situated for us black around these times when you get into medieval Greek, modern Greek. Medieval Greek, also known as Byzantine Greek, the continuation of Koine Greek up to the demise of the Byzantine Empire in the 15th century. Medieval Greek is overphased for a whole continuum in different speech and writing styles, ranging from vernacular continuation of spoken Koine for that were already approaching modern Greek in many respects in highly learned forms. And get medieval Greek. And medieval Greek, during this time, medieval people that spoke medieval Greek, they spoke Latin and Greek. As people in Byzantium, they spoke Greek, but they still spoke Latin too. They might spoke Greek as the first language, and they spoke Latin too. So I even heard say loan words from other languages. Especially at the beginning of the Byzantine Empire, medieval Greek borrowed numerous words from Latin, among them mainly titles and other terms of imperial court names. You know what I'm saying? And okay, y'all still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all got any questions so far?
Nah, not yet.
Okay. And I'm gonna get into back to my list real quick. Okay, let's get into, let's dig into what this word actually means. Let's get into let me see, pre-colonial. Let me get into pre-colonial Mauritania. Okay, let's get into Polinius. Polinius, remember I said earlier, that's Pliny the Elder again, which a lot of the Isadore Seville, copied and wrote a lot of his stuff, but not all with the shit, most of the shit that he wanted. But Polinius or Pliny the Elder wrote that the area north of the river Senegal was populated during Augustus times by the Farusi and Parosi Berbers. Moved south to Mauritania. See, this Mauritania with an I. This is a little southern than the original Mauritania, which is where Morocco is now. Beginning in the third century, followed by the Arabs in the 8th century, subjugating and assimilating Mauritania original inhabitants, which is southern Mauritania. In this area, this part of Mauritania would have been during this time still would have been Mende people and some of the Senegambian people, before they moved a little bit further south. You know what I'm saying? You still would have had a mixture. This a lot of these people in this admixture too is how you got the Haratian population. You know what I'm saying? And as you go even further down here, it's a characteristics. It's a in the year 41 AD, Suetonius Polonius, afterwards consul, was first of the Romans who led an army across Mount Atlas. At the end of 10 days march, he reached the summit, which even in summer was covered with snow. And from thence, after passing a desert of black and sand burnt rocks, he arrived at a river called Gurge. He then penetrated into the country of the Canary and the Perusi, which is Canary Island area, in Perusi, which is the name of the Berber tribe at the top. The former of whom identified a woody region, abandoning in elephants and serpents, and the later were Ethiopians not far distinct from the Farusi and the river Doris, modern river Senegal. And right here say what is now Mauritania was a dry savanna area during the classical antiquity, where independent tribes like the Farusi and the Perusi and the Negrati near the Niger River. See, they saying Negrati. They ain't saying Moor. They even saying they calling either people live further south in this Roman period. They even calling them black, describing them as black, like the Mandi. The Niger Congo speakers even during this time period. You know what I'm saying? You had these these Amazigs a little bit further north. You had what they call the Negrati. Near the Niger River. Lived a semi-nomadic lifestyle life, facing a growing desertification of the Sahara. You know what I'm saying? So he actually naming the people who was in, Mauritania, even before it became a Roman province. We did get to Mauritania. Right here it says Mauritania exists as a tribal kingdom of Berber Maori people, which were the Farusi and the Farusi and the Perosi. We're gonna get to why they generally calling these people Maori people for. In the early first Strabo recorded Maori as the native name of the people opposite of Iberian Peninsula. This affiliation was adopted into Latin, you know what I'm saying, all that. And then where it say the Mediterranean coast of Mauritania had commercial harbors for trade with Carthage from from before the fourth century BC, but the interior was controlled by Berbers who had established themselves in the region by the Iron Age. Now, right here it say, let me see where we get to. And these people were not like Isadore Seville. These people were not Numidians. You know what I'm saying? Numidians were their own people. You say Mauritania became a client kingdom of Rome Empire in 25 BC when Romans installed Juba II of Numidia as their client king. You know what I'm saying? Because the the Romans dealt with Numidia, the area, you know what I'm saying, they called Numidia, and when they conquered the Mauritanian area, they put a Numidian king in charge. You know what I'm saying? And these areas were more western to the areas of Numidia. Let me show y'all a map real quick. Show y'all a map real quick. It's an old map. These are Numidian kingdoms right here. The kingdom of Syphax and the kingdom of Gala. And it's their tribe names. They actually named Numidians. They actually called the Massa Sili and the Massa Sili. I'm gonna give y'all a little brief history on the Numidians too, and why they're important in this. In this area, there's no the area, where the Mauritanians the Mauritanian area, which became Mauritania and later Morocco. More towards the Maghreb. And I'm gonna tell y'all what that word Maghreb even means too, and it actually has a connection with the word Mari. Here, another map right here. Here we go. Another, this more a little bit more generic. Don't point as much, like at the other tribe. The other map had the tribes. This had like more generic, emphasis on the word. You can see it say East Numidia, West Numidia. You got Carthage. You know what I'm saying? We'll explain who are the Carthaginians too. And you got Mauritania. Rome at the top. Okay. Let me show y'all a little bit more to Numidians real quick. This is just a brief history. Okay, Numidians, or Berber population of Numidia, Algeria, and a smaller part of Tunisia. The Numidians are one of the earliest Berber tribes traded with Carthaginian settlers. See, them and the Carthaginians not even the same. As Carthage grew, the relationship of the Numidians blossomed. Carthage military used the Numidian cavalry as mercenaries. Numidia provided some of the highest quality cavalry in the Second Punic War. Remember that word, Punic War, and the Numidian slavery played a key role in several battles, being both early on in support of Hannibal and later in the war after switching allegiance to the Rome Republic. And what I heard, this get interesting, y'all. I don't know. A lot of people don't know the history. A lot of people know the history between Rome and Carthage, but this is like kind of the backdrop of what was really going on. You know what I'm saying? East of Mauritania, or the area that became Mauritania. In 25 BC, a little later, but a little earlier, this kind of what was going on. During the Punic Wars, Syphax was the king of the largest Numidian kingdom, the Massilies. See, this is the Massilies, were Berber tribes, Western Numidia, and the main antagonists of the Massilies, Massili in Eastern Numidia. In 23 BC, Syphax ended his allegiance with Carthage in 208 BC. He rejoined after marrying Nisba, daughter of Hasdrubal Gisco. And this dude, he was a leader in the Carthaginian leader. During the Second Punic War, Syphax sued for peace between Hanan Barca. You remember that name Barca? It's like Hannibal, boy. He was a relative of Hannibal, and Popus Cornelius Typico. After the Romans had landed in Africa, with the help of Massinia, who is the Massalisa king, Publius Scipico. And y'all know Publius Scipico is, right?
Well, you said who?
Y'all know who Publius Cornelius Scipico is?
Ain't that who the wasn't it something named that, or he took on the name of
Yeah, Scipico Africanus.
Africanus? Yeah.
Yeah, it was his name before he conquered, you know what I'm saying, the Afrique, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it said right here, after the Romans had landed in Africa with the help of Massena, Publius Scipico troops set fire to Syphax camp. The king Massinissa added Syphax former territory to his eastern kingdom, Massili, as a reward gained through military victory against Carthage. After the Second Punic War, Massinissa combined the Amazigh people into a united nation with the agricultural industry. After the Second Punic Wars, the peace treaty between Carthage and Rome prevented Carthage from entering any wars without Rome's permission. Okay, let me see. I was really trying to get into, how like you had, basically you had like the West, had the Western Numidians and the Eastern Numidians, and they were playing like both sides, like on either side of the fight between the Carthaginians and the Romans. So you had the Eastern Numidians who teamed up with the Carthaginians at first. And then you had the Western Numidians who teamed up with Rome. And then you had an instance when the Carthaginians was losing, the Eastern Numidians switched sides and teamed up with Rome. And then when the Western Numidians seen that, they reneged against Rome and tried to team up with Carthage at the last minute and got smashed. You know what I'm saying? But these were the tribes that the Numidian tribes. And you see their influences, right? Their influences Rome and Carthage.
Right.
And who are the Carthaginians? Who are the Punics? A lot of people say, oh, the Greeks and the Romans. They keep mentioning these Greeks and Romans when they come to this word Mari, but they always forget the Punics, the Carthaginians. Who are they?
Hmm.
I'm gonna go into Punics real quick. I'm going to Punics real quick. Punic people. Punic people are Western Phoenicians. You know what I'm saying? Punic people are Western Phoenicians were a group of Semitic peoples in Western Mediterranean who trace their origins to Phoenicians of Western Asia. In modern scholarship, the term Punic, the Latin equivalent of Greek, derived from Phoenician, which exclusively used to refer to Phoenicians in the Western Mediterranean, following the line of Greek and Latin West. So these are the Phoenicians. The Western Phoenicians were arranged into multitude of self-governing city-states. Carthage had grown to be the largest and most powerful of these city-states by the 5th century BC. Let's see, they've been in Africa, you know what I'm saying? Let me see, ancient Carthage. And these people, see right here, the Phoenicians, ancient Carthage. The city of Carthage in modern Phoenicia, also the name given to city-states and empire eventually gained. The settlement was founded by Phoenicians in the 9th century BC. You know what I'm saying? The Phoenicians been in North Africa since the 9th century BC.
Hmm.
Let me go show y'all real quick Serene. Serene, Libya. In Serene, Libya, this was a Greek area. And they've been, you know, these Greeks been in this area even before Alexander came and conquered, you know, Egypt and all that. Serene, you know what I'm saying? Serene was a Greek Libyan, you know what I'm saying, province right next to, you know, Carthage, you know, and stuff like that. So you had Greeks there probably right around, let me see, Greek period. You know, according to Greek tradition, Serene was founded 631 BC as settlement of Greeks from the island of Thera. So you had Greeks there since 63-1 BC. You know what I'm saying? Even like right here, it say, after the death of Alexandria, 323 BC, the Serenian Republic became subject to the Ptolemaic dynasty. So I'm just showing I'm just trying to show the people that you had, you know, Phoenicians even in Greece, even in North Africa, before the Greeks, before the Romans. Okay, and let's get into, and then Hannibal too, you know what I'm saying? Let me show you what a lot of people don't even look at it like this, that even before Arabic, you know what I'm saying, the Phoenicians was in North Africa. So even before Arabic, you had Semitic languages in North Africa even before Semitic, which were the Phoenician presence. And then Hannibal name, look at his name, Hannibal. Hannibal was a common Semitic Carthaginian personal name. It is regarded as in Carthaginian sources as Hannibal. It was a combination of common Carthaginian masculine given name Hanno with the Northwest Semitic Canaanite deity Baal, a major god of the Carthaginian ancestral homeland of Phoenicia in Western Asia. So all that, you know, Hannibal is a Moor, Hannibal is black, or you know what I'm saying, sub-Saharan type dude. All them pictures, they can throw all that shit away. You know?
Yeah.
Even the term Barker, that's a Semitic term. Okay, and now we see that we have an influence here from, you know, the Carthaginians or the Phoenicians. They've been here since the 9th century BC. Okay. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna land something real quick. Okay. And let me go into my notes real quick. My sources real quick. And I'm gonna show y'all some definitions. You got some scholars, you know, that stuck to you know what I'm saying, the Isadore Seville writings, even up into modern time. You got certain even British scholars or other scholars you know, doing like probably like the 19th to the 18th centuries, still going with that. It means black. But I'm gonna even get into why they even going with that too. Why why even mean black today? But here, this is from E.J. Brill's First Encyclopedia of Islam, 1913 to 1936. Exhibit 1. Let's get into Moors. A rather a vague name still able in the what's that, the 16th? I don't know what that Roman numeral is. XIX. I don't know what the hell it is. Century. Certain elements in the Muslim town population of various countries had especially to the inhabitants of Mediterranean ports of North Africa. The word, presumably of Phoenician origin, corresponds to the ancient local name of the natives of Barbary, introduced by the Romans as Mori, and by the Greeks as Morvaro. The term Mori, used by the Romans in a general way for Berbers, passed into Spain in the form of Moro, and it was by the name of Moros that the people of Iberian Peninsula throughout the whole period of Islam rule knew the Arab conquerors and Arabized Berbers who had come to settle in Spain from the other side of the Straits of Gibraltar. The name Moros passed into various European languages: French, Moors; English, Moros; Greeks, Moran. At the time of the Reconquista, the name Moriscos was applied to Spain to these Muslims, usually crypto Muslims, who had remained in the country until their final expulsion in 1610. And we'll go a bit further down. We know the history, how the Moors got killed, all that history. But during this time, during that Spanish time, that's when the word starts to become black. And I'm gonna break that down. Why, why does it mean black? And then a little bit down here, even say here, from another source, E. Levy Provencal. It said the land of the Moors is Mauritania or Mori, from a Phoenician word, Marim, the Westerners, or remember at first I kept saying, Mauritania, west of this, west of that, west of the Media. Morum, the Westerners, or both, more probably from the name of a tribe living before the Christian era in North Africa, was applied in ancient times to northern Morocco, Mauritania, Tictana, and to the northwest of Algeria, Syrian Mauritania. At a later date, by extending the application, Europeans have given general name of Moors to and Sahara Africa. And Algeria, the area where Algeria is at today, and Morocco is where Mauritania used to be. You know what I'm saying? So we see right here, even the book, the Encyclopedia of Islam doesn't refer to the term Moor origins as being black. It says it means a Phoenician term that means Westerner. Let me go on a little bit. Here's another Moor modern. This same encyclopedia, Brill's encyclopedia. And this right here, same thing. Come to encyclopedia again. I got some more sources. Right here, this is from a book called, it's the Moors of Spain. Y'all can look that up. The book called The Moors of Spain. And even here, I'm not gonna get into all the whole, the reading right here of the book, but down at the bottom in the notes, it say the term Moor, according to Botchker, comes from a Hebrew word, Mooring, which signifies Western. Even though it say Hebrew, this one say Hebrew, but Hebrew and Phoenician are both Semitic, so he's very close. You know what I'm saying? It's on, Phoenician and Hebrew are like neck to neck. They both Amorite languages. And I'm gonna get into that term Amorite or Amaru, with what that even mean too in Semitic languages. Because even Phoenician in the Phoenician area, you know what I'm saying, the area where they call Phoenicia, the Levant, and all that area, they were calling them people Amorites. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna break down why they even call them Amorites in the first place too. Right here, this is a history of the Moors. This from the same source right here, book by M. Flarin. This is a blown up source right here. Say Moran Hebrew is a vary in spelling and sound as the term Moran Phoenician, identified by Philip Curry Hittite, according to Dana Reynolds, Morchinich, the word Amaru is opposed to the source, a Semitic Assyrian word, Western, because the Amorites lived in the mountains of the west. The Amorites, so even in where the Phoenicians came from, they were called the Westerners, even where they came from, and they brought this term to North Africa. You know what I'm saying? And they've been in North Africa since the 9th century BC. So remember I said, Pliny and Strabo was saying this word was the indigenous term to people. By the time the Greeks got there, the Phoenicians would be considered indigenous people by that time. They were looked at as indigenous people by the Greeks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, and they especially being all mixed in with the Berbers and all that, establishing themselves.
That's where a lot of people confuse that right there too.
Yeah.
About the fact that those people, like you said, they come from Phoenicia or whatever, or the Arabic Peninsula, whatever you call it. They come from over there, but they've been in North Africa for so long that they kind of indigenous too.
Yeah. That's why, when Strabo said the term seems to come from a indigenous term that people call them the Marusi or the Mori. So these were the Phoenicians. You know what I'm saying? That the Phoenicians weren't the Moor, but they were the Mori when they was in Western Asia, and they own, their own area. They would still use the term for West, but by the time they settled in, into Carthage and all these areas, anybody west of Numidia, would have been the Mari or the Westerners. Even the Numidians themselves, the East and the Western Numidians, was influenced by Carthaginians and Phoenicians, and they would have picked up on this term, calling their Western neighbors the Mari, or the Mari or the Marim, which later the Greeks adopted as the Mari, and the Romans adopted as the Maris. And even during this time, that even to them, the Romans, they would have known this term as meaning West up into the medieval age, and I'm gonna explain why. Right here, I'm gonna explain why a little later, but even right here, you got go to this source. Hold on, I'm gonna go to this source first. This is from the Encyclopedia. Is this the right one? Yeah, this is different but right here, this is from the Encyclopedia of World's Minorities by Carl Scutchett. And right here it says the Norms retook Sicily in 1061, establishing trade relationships with Northern Africa and employed Africans in their armies. Frederick II, for example, not only used such warriors but placed them in his bodyguard. This African guide, together with African musicians and animal keepers, as well as emperors, African personal uh, attendants, formed part of the imperial processions. An African, Johannes Morris, was appointed advisor of the Kingdom of Sicily. The etymology of the word Moor is uncertain. It can be traced to the Phoenician term Morin, meaning Westerners. Again, he got this. He used the same, etymology. And even right here, Oxford Arabic Dictionary. Following source provides that it's the variation of the Semitic Edotam, Morim, peoples of the West. Those who stay with that source is questionable by usually unaware as the Phoenician / Canaanite origin to the term Roman Mori and the Greek Moros, which gave birth to the Romance languages. German, English, Greek, Spanish, whatever. I don't believe German is, but no, any language influenced by Latin. The Arabic al-Moor is extremely rare and alleged to not occur in Al-Andalus Arabic sources, which I think is irrelevant because the Moors were a nation composed of many tribes before Al-Andalus era in general. And this right here, this is Philip Carey Hitti, and he was a Lebanese American scholar and authority on the Arab and Middle Eastern history and Islam and Semitic languages. And he's like this brother, right here. He was like one of the top, scholars on this subject during like the early 20th century. And even all to the 70s too. He died in 1978. And even he say he almost single-handedly where her say, I'm going to top, okay. Where he say the first source I present that Moor means Westerner is Philip Curry Hitti. In Arabic, this name is Arabic and all that. And they say, he was a Lebanese American scholar and authority of Arab, Middle Eastern history and Islam and Semitic language. He also single-handedly created the discipline of Arabic studies in the United States. In his work, History of Arabs, first published in 1937, contained the first term Moor as geographic designation meaning Western. Philip Curry Hitti spent 10 years writing his book. He provided that the Romans named Western Africa Mauritania and inhibited Mori, presumably a Phoenician word meaning Western. Hence the Spanish Moor and the English term Moor. The Berbers therefore were more proper, but term was that's a cutoff. I got the actual source too from his book. Yeah, here is just from the actual source from the book. It's at the bottom there. It's the same thing he was saying that it's a Phoenician term. And even let me show y'all this right here. Other words, West in different Semitic languages, in Assyrian and Akkadian, Mortu, which you get the word Amori or Amorite from. In Aramaic, you get Morab. In Hebrew or Judaic or Judaic, you get Morav. In Amharic, you get Morabi. In Tigray, you get Morab. In Arabic, you get Maghrib. And in Phoenician, you get Marim. All these words, I'm saying, this is the word Westerner, which is where the source and base, or the most basal source of the term Moor, where it cognates from.
Wow.
But,
There goes that.
But how did the word become black? Let's get into that. Okay. Remember, I was talking about the Syrenes. I mentioned the Syrenes earlier. In any literature, let me go back to Moors real quick. No, matter of fact, I got the article right here. I don't think I saved it. I'm going to, okay, let's go to Moors again real quick. And click on right here where it say the Syrenes. Who are the Syrenes? The Syrenes were primarily Arab Muslims, but also Turks, Persians, or other Muslims as referred to by Christian writers in Europe during the Middle Ages. You know what I'm saying? Remember the Middle Ages during the time when they was doing all their rewriting of Isadore Seville works. All these Christian scholars and these other, scholars, rewriting his work. Okay. The terms meaning evolved during its history. In the early centuries, the Christian era Greek and Latin writing used the term to refer to the people who lived in desert areas in and near the Roman province of Arabia, Petri, and the Arabian Destorta. In Europe during the Middle Ages, the term came to be associated with the tribes of Arabia. The oldest known source mentioning Syrenes in relations to Islam dates to the 7th century. It was founded in the Doctrina Jacobi, which is the teachings of Jacob, a commentary that discusses the Muslim conquest of the Levant. By the 12th century, Cyrene had become synonymous with Muslim. Because even before then, if you read Seville, he mentioned that book Etymology have Syrenes in there too. And during that time, he wouldn't have been calling on Moors black or none of that. He would have been using as probably Westerner. They translating his work and putting in what it probably meant in their time. But he would have known these people as the Syrenes. Because in early Christian literature, they just wrote them as the people of the Syrenes. And the term Cyrene come from the term Sarah. And Europeans claim they came with this term saying that since the Muslims say they come from Ishmael, which is from the concubine of Abraham, they wish they actually came from Sarah, which is the rightful wife of him. So they called themselves the Syrenes, which is some crazy concept they came up with. But by the 12th century, Cyrene had become synonymous with Muslim in the medieval Latin literature. Much expansion in the meaning of the term had begun centuries earlier among the Byzantine Greeks, as evidenced in documents from the 8th century. In the Western languages before the 16th century, Cyrene was commonly used to refer to Muslim Arabs, and the words Muslim and Islam were generally not used, with with a few isolated exceptions. The term became gradually obsolete during the age of discovery. Let's we're going to get into the early uses and origin. We won't get into that. Let's get into serene square. Okay, let's get into the medieval uses because we get into early uses. We don't got to really get into that. Let's just break it down how I said earlier how the Christians use it, saying that they claim the Ishmael thing or whatever. But right here it says no later than the early 5th century, Christian writers began to equip Syrenes with Arabs. Syrenes were associated with Ishmaelites, descendants of Abraham, older son Ishmael, and some strands of Jewish, Christian, and Islamic genealogical thinking. The writing of Jerome, 420, or in Jerome, he was a Christian priest and theologian or whatever, or the earliest known variations of the claim that Ishmaelites chose to be called Syrenes in order to identify the Abraham's free wife Sarah rather than Hagarians, which was the highlighted their association with the Abraham slave woman Hagar. And I'm gonna go a little bit down further. That's just breaking down, why they call them that or whatever. But as the Middle Age progressed, usage of the term in Latin West changed, but it was its connotation remained negative, associated with the opposite of Christianity, and its exact definition is unclear. In the 8th century polemical work, John of Damascus, which is he a Christian apologist, he wrote a lot of stuff about Islam. He lived amongst Islam, seeing this stuff happen. Doing conquering during the Middle East in the 8th century polemical work. John of Damascus criticized the Syrenes as followers of a false prophet and forerunner to the Antichrist. By the 12th century, medieval Europeans used the term Cyrene as both an ethnic and religious marker. In some medieval literature, Syrenes were equipped with Muslims in general and described as dark-skinned, while Christians lighter skinned. An example is the King of Tours, a medieval romance, the Song of Roland, an old French 11th century heroic poem, referred to the black skin of Syrenes as their only exotic feature. It ain't just mean black like like how sub-Saharan African. They kind of over exaggerate too, because of course they seen darker people with them too, because these people come from tropical areas. Even the Arab would have been darker to these people, so they kind of played on that. You know what I'm saying? Since these people are darker skinned anyway, they must be evil. You know what I'm saying? Because they coming from a dualistic standpoint. You know what I'm saying? This is ethnic, what you would call ethnic dualism.
Right.
Our people, we Christians, so we come from the light, you know what I'm saying, and we being lighter skinned must verify that. And these people.
So
What you say, bro?
So you saying basically as far as it being associated with Muslim, that came in like the Middle Ages more so.
Yeah.
So
and this is and then but let me show you this too. Magus right here. This is the dude. This right here. This is Magus fighting the Serene Norian, and Norian even mean the black Serene. Remember, a lot of the Moors or the Muslim military might were darker or black. You know what I'm saying? Black more equatorial people sometimes.
mm-hmm.
And it's like a battle. And if you see a lot of other stuff too, like them battling dragons, the dragon to be black, they always trying to represent evil and stuff, anything that's an infidel towards Christianity.
Right.
Right here, you say the term serene remained in widespread use in the West as a synonym for Muslim until the 18th century, when the age of discovery led to becoming gradually obsolete and referred Muslims as Mohammedan. Okay, and we can go skip that real quick, but let me go into this real quick. And the plot gets kind of deeper. We go into medieval Christian views. Okay, during the Middle Ages, Christendom largely viewed Islam as a Christian heresy and Muhammad as a false prophet. Various Western and Byzantine Christian thinkers considered Muhammad to be a perverted, deplorable man, a false prophet, and even the Antichrist, as he was frequently seen in Christendom as a heretic or possessed by demons. Some of them, like Thomas Aquinas, criticized Muhammad's promises of cardinal pleasure in the afterlife. The earliest documented Christian knowledge of Muhammad stems from the Byzantine sources written shortly after Muhammad's death in 632 CE. Both crusades of High Middle Ages and the wars against the Ottoman Empire during the Middle Ages, the Christian reception of Muhammad became more polemical, moving from the classification as a heretic to deception of Muhammad as a servant of Satan, as the Antichrist, who will be eternally suffering tortures in hell amongst the damned. By the Middle Ages, Islam was more typically grouped with paganism, and Muhammad was viewed as idler inspired by the devil, and more relaxed or vegan view of Islam only developed in the modern period after the Islamic emperor ceased to be an acute military threat to Europe. And now here, this shit get deep, man. You can see how, you know what I'm saying, how Moor became black. I'm gonna go a little bit further. Let me see. This is going to a lot of this stuff was in a Serene article. How they go into how he evil and all that, how he false prophet. Go down a little bit further. Go a little bit further. Let's say later the Latin translation of the Heraclibus was where he exceptionally used the phrase false prophet in referring to Muhammad, became known in the Christian West. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, Christian knowledge of Muhammad's life was nearly always used obsessively. Another influential source was the Episcopal Sereni, Letter of the Serene, written by an Oriental Christian and translated into Latin from Arabic from 9th century onwards. Highly negative biographies of Muhammad were written in Latin, such as one by Vero of Cordoba, proclaiming him the Antichrist. Christendom also gained some knowledge of Muhammad through Mozarabs of Spain, which in the 9th century, Euclid Eulogius of Cordoba, who was one of the martyrs of Cordoba. You see, even right here, this is from the Dante's. This picture right here is from a Dante's Inferno, and they even got Muhammad in there. In the Dante's, they call it Dante's comedy. Right here say Dante Inferno cast Muhammad in hell, reflecting his negative image in the Christian world, where William Blake's illustrate Inferno depicts Muhammad pulling his chest open, which has been spliced by a demon to symbolize his role in schismatic, which Islam was considered a heresy by medieval Christians. They was going in on that. They didn't even when it was crazy. It's another book. A number of Latin words of life Muhammad were written during the life. So they were writing stuff he probably said and just making up stuff about him. And then they didn't even know that Muslims or people that or Mohammedans at this time, they didn't even understand that who or what deity they worship. They didn't know they worship Allah, none of that. I hear it say medieval scholars and churchmen held that Islam was the work of Muhammad, who in turn was inspired by Satan. Kenneth Seaton wrote that Muhammad was frequently culminated and made a subject of legends taught by preachers as fact. For example, in order to show that Muhammad was Antichrist, he was asserted that Muhammad died not in 632, but in the year 666, the number of the beast. They was going all in. And there's two right here. There's another name that they had for Muhammad, Mohound. And Mohound are variant names of the name Muhammad, often found in medieval, later European literature. The name has been used in the past by Christian writers vilify Muhammad. It was especially connected to the depiction of Muhammad as a god worshipped by pagans or demons who inspired a false religion. And have you ever heard of Carlos?
Yep.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I ever heard of Termagant?
Nah, I ain't never heard of that.
This is Termagant. What this gets crazy. In the Middle Ages, Termagant or Tervagant was the name given to a god which European Christians believed Muslims worship.
Made up. Oh, they hated them.
The word is also used in modern English to mean a violent, overbearing, turbulent, brawling, quarrelsome woman or Virgo screw vixen. In the past, the word would be applied to any person or thing personifying not just a woman. So they thought they deity was a woman. And right here say European literature from the Middle Ages often refer Muhammad as Muslims as pagans with subsequents such as panem foes. I don't know what the hell that even is. Or paganism. Those depictions representing Muslim worshiping Muhammad as a god, along with various deities in the form of idols, cult images ranging from Apollon to Lucifer. And then watch this. This is where it get even crazy. Let me show. Okay, it gets crazy. Like right here. I know you know what that is, right?
Yeah, I know who Baphomet is.
Baphomet, right?
Yeah.
Baphomet was a deity allegedly worshipped by Knights Templars that subsequently became incorporated into various occult mystical traditions. The name Baphomet appeared in trial, transcript for acquisition for the Knights Templar started in 1307. So they was accusing. They really the Knights Templar were Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And they was all in the Middle East during the Crusades. So people started to like accuse them of worshiping or having certain ways of the Middle East. But who was Baphomet? Where the name Baphomet come from? You know what I'm saying?
I already know.
Right here it say where it go? Where the etymology somewhere. Oh, here we go, etymology. Right up here, there's a little bit of right here. Modern scholars, modern scholars agree that the name Baphomet was an old French corporation of the name Mahomet, which is of course Muhammad, with the interpretation being that some of the Templars, through their long military occupation of the Outremer, which was that was a Templar Crusader states, which was in the Middle East, had begun incorporating Islamic ideas into their belief system, and that this was seen as documented by the inquisitors as heresy. Alan Dumerger, however, rejects the idea that the Templars could have adopted the doctrine of their enemies. Ellen Nicholson wrote that the charges were essentially manipulative, and the Templars were accused of becoming fairy tale Muslims. Medieval Christians believed that Muslims were idolatrous and worshiped Muhammad as a god, with Mohammed becoming Mamet in English, meaning the idol of false god. This idol worship is attributed to Muslim in several Canton de Geest, which is that's term again. That's a deity again. Oh, there's some narrative French narratives. But in Provoco poem on the life of Saint Horient, Horit, completed in 1300, in the Chantum de Semen Pole, written before 1235, a serene idol called Baphomets. The etymology. While modern scholars in Oxford English Dictionary state that the origin of the name Baphomet was a probable Old English version of Muhammad. Alternate etymologies have also been proposed. So that's deep, you know what I'm saying? That's how bad and black and dark that they thought of Muslims during that period. And if if Muslims, if they thinking, if they in they psyche, if Muslims are black and evil, by time when the Maori, the people, the Maori or people of the Maghreb convert to Islam, and they come into Europe, they anything that's coming with Islam is evil. Therefore, in the medieval ages, Moor became black in the Greek and in the Latin language. That's where we get Moor meaning scorched, blazing, and all that, because they looked at the Serenes and the Muslims as being evil and black and devilish. Yeah, that's my end of my presentation, man. Here I got to pick some couple of pictures of some Chararza Mari people, and these some of the descendants of the original people of the Maghreb. Let me show this too, real quick. let people know. Even the term Magdam, I showed it early too, and I showed the list of Semitic languages. Even Magdam, let me show you. The etymology, the terminology. Maghrib, toponym, Maghrib, is a geographical term that Muslim Arabs gave to the region extending from the Alexandria to the east and the Atlantic Ocean in the west. And they say etymological, it means both the western place land, and the place where the sun sets. It's the composed prefix ma, which makes a noun out of the verb root garaba, to set, or is setting, or from gareb. Even though it got the G, that G is actually silent. And even some claim that even the term Arab cognates from the term meaning west. But that could be debatable,
Yeah, I could see it, but
Yeah, it's still a lot to be still a lot to be found out, or more research had to be done on that.
You know what I just thought about?
Yeah.
With everything, with you going through the whole history of the term Moor and how it got to what we see it is today, and the etymology and all that. A lot of people who would argue against you, after everything you just said, they like a lot of people try to use a lot of people who support that point of view try to use the what you call it, the Moroccan Treaty of Peace and Friendship. A lot of
Oh yeah.
a lot of unlearned Moors try to use that and say because they translate it into English and it says more in there. But like you just said, what you went through, it's really in the Arabic, it's gonna be Muslimun, Muslimin, Mohammedan, or you know what I'm saying? So they try to say, oh, it say more in 1786. So, you know what I'm saying? We the Moors and, we and they try to connect all the dots, but that's not accurate. And what they meant, what these French and the French and Americans meant by Moor was Mohammedan or Muslim. You know what I'm saying? They didn't mean
Muslim in general, because
right in
more
general.
and all that shit came together.
It all came together at that point in time. So like, when people try to use that, you just got to correct them. Like, bro, like that don't mean that. That just mean Muslim, bro. They didn't mean, you black, you sub-Saharan black person. They didn't necessarily mean that. They meant just Muslim. No matter what color you was, you know what I'm saying, your ass was a Muslim. You know what
Muslim,
I'm saying?
Yeah. And then the actual, like, for us, like black people, it became that actually like probably like so a little bit before, like during the colonial period. You know what I'm saying? During the advent of slavery, they always do a play on words, like, all these people black, so they Moors. You know what I'm saying? Anything black is,
Right.
that's the Moors.
Exactly. And so people, people will run with that, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If you black and you a Muslim, your ass a black or more, I guess.
Yeah. But that's my presentation, y'all. Check out the Book of Al Jahid's channel. Don't be afraid to hit that notification bell to get more conversations like this. And if anybody want to have any more, have a discussion about this, we can, like an open discussion. Whoever sees this recorded video, and hit my Cash App if you want to support and you want me to make more shows like this and do more visuals. Hit me up. You have any more questions, Carlos?
Nah. You went pretty in depth, man.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to do this show. I try. I was researching. I was putting a lot of stuff together.
Yeah,
Just
I'm gonna have to go back and look. Look at some of the stuff you presented. I'm gonna go back later and look into some of that stuff.
Yeah. But we went in, man. We went all the way to the the Braille's Encyclopedia of Islam. I mean, I don't know what could you say. How can people go around that? Yeah.
Ain't no debating it no more. I mean, all the information right there. On the video. Like I said, rewind it and write down the sources or whatever. Go see for yourself.
Yeah. And I dismantled Isadore Seville.
Yeah, he was. Hey, man. Hey, people still doing that to this day. Copy and pasting, putting any kind of books together, just putting anything together, adding on to.
Yeah, and his source is like a primary exact, and even though it was fragmented, different people was just rewriting stuff over and over again.
It happens. Yeah.
And then you got other scholars who still stick. You got different scholastic circles. They'll stick with the same model because they don't want to go against the code or go against the grain or whoever was teaching them or who taught them. They'll get looked at a certain way, or their reputation to be looked at wrong if they go otherwise against what they learned or what they was taught.
Yeah, you gotta keep going with your school, whatever school you from, your school of thought or whatever. Just keep it going.
Yeah. But on that note, I'm gonna in this show, I'm gonna do another one. Y'all gonna see me again. I'm gonna do some more shows. I know I ain't been here, but I came back with a bang. And peace out, y'all. Right on for coming on, Carlos. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Peace, brother.